probably isn't the same for straight people. Correct us if we're wrong, straight people.
Hello and welcome to Cup of Queers. My name is Sean, he, him, his.
And I'm Lindsay, she, her, hers.
Thank you so much for coming out and listening. And for those of you who are coming out and proud, we love you all. The reason that I wanted to begin this episode like that is because I assume that there are some of us who are allies out there, and God bless allies. I know that many people in my position who don't have so many queer people at our access feel as though we rely upon these people in particular in order to not only understand like our plight. I mean, we have lives that surround these issues, and I just wanted to touch upon all of the friendships that make queer life possible. I know that this podcast in particular was made with relativity to this topic because we don't want anyone to feel like they're alone in any issue. We don't want people to feel like this quarantine is causing them to feel as though they have no one around them. And so this is, at the root of why we are doing this. I don't know if Lindsay feels the exact same way, but this is, this is why I'm doing this.
Oh, I agree. That's what we're here for.
If you ever wanted to listen to the episode about queer friendships and the possible destruction of them, we did touch upon it in our first episode. Lindsay had mentioned about how queer relationships can cause a lot of difficulties with relationships in our life and friendships in particular. And so definitely check out the first episode if you haven't. You're lame if you haven't.
You're missing out.
Yeah, and lame. No, definitely not. Sorry. So
we get excited.
I've drank way too much coffee, so bear with me. But there's something that I just wanted to mention, and I think with regards to young queer individuals, lots of people find us interesting, and I think if anyone in a marginalized community can relate, they feel as though the tokenized image of having your group inclusive or spicy in some way, because there are people who actually are contributing in interesting conversations from different perspectives. I think that there are oftentimes people who like the image of us and like the exterior because, many of us be fine and stylish. That is generally undisputed. And I cannot argue with that. But we do have souls behind, these fabulous husks. And so I just wanted to touch on all of the people who make these meaningful relationships possible, and the difference between the friends and relationships in our lives who are truly trying to understand queerism, if that's a word, and not only the struggles but also like the joy and the community, because allies are a part of our community. I think it's time that we gave our love to them in a way.
Yeah, I agree. I had a couple of thoughts while you were talking. One is that before I came out, and even now, I'm not going to lie, I want me a fancy, stylish, adorable gay guy to be my best friend and style me, decorate my house.
Hell yeah.
Where is he? Come find me, reach out. I need you.
I'm looking up flights right now.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Like you were saying that, and I was like, oh my gosh. And also, I'm just going to do a little side note. I shared our podcast with my sister and my cousin, which we should totally talk about that too, because I hid my Instagram account from them and the podcast just for a little bit. We just started the podcast. And both of them were so supportive and so excited. And they were like, well, we love you, but oh my gosh, we love Sean so much.
Oh my gosh.
It just made me think about how, like you said, people do, not that they were doing that, but I'm guilty of it too. I'm like, yes, I want that person, Like I want JVN in my home. I'll take any of the guys from Queer Eye,
Oh
any of
yeah.
them at any time, all of them. Thank you. So there really is, and that's actually a good little side note. Is I feel like the guys from Queer Eye are contributing to people wanting that token queer friend because, like, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, yeah. And okay, I mean, and I've watched Sex and the City a couple of times, but they had a couple of gay friends in them, and I really couldn't even name them off the top
Mm,
because their characters were so insignificant and were simply just like their, really just prop characters at the end of the day. As much as I appreciated their presence, I don't know if anyone really watches that who's listening, but they put the two gay characters in the show and like got them married at the end of it because it was just like, the straight writer's way of just like saying that, if your friends know two gay guys, then you should like put them together in a way because people didn't know that that was cringy at the time, which it is. I don't need to tell these listeners that. They know that, don't you? Right?
yeah. Oh, yeah, I was going to say something else though when you're talking about having allies and how important they are. With regards to my sister and my cousin being so supportive, it made me think when you were talking about allies, how much it is kind of ingrained in us as queer people to want straight people to accept and love us for who we are. And
Yeah.
so we are like, we kind of before we started the podcast, we talked about, having those queer friendships. And I think that they're so important. But we also, I think I certainly want straight friends just as much as I want queer friends because they serve two totally different types of connections where the queer person's like, I get it, me too. And the straight person, they don't get it, but they're like, I'm here and I love you anyway. And I'm going to hold space and I'm going to be an ally and I'm going to help show people who aren't here for you that it can be done. And it's just like, do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, and I mean, it's a little bit ridiculous in a way that we meet these straight friends and we have these relationships, and when they accept us fully, it feels like the Big Bang, like something just
Mm-hmm.
is happening that has never happened before in our lives. And oftentimes, at least for me, the one person who truly makes an effort, because straight people aren't expected to make an effort in this direction, in my experience. Okay, maybe your experience is better than mine or worse, I don't know. But all I'm saying is that we shouldn't have to feel as though this is like once in a lifetime. Like it shouldn't have to feel like a unicorn experience
Mm-hmm.
where we have these people who actually invest their energy and time into every part that makes us human and beautiful, whether that be queer related or not. And yes, them being a part of the straight community does add some validity. And I've never really thought about how much that is ingrained in the way that we think,
Mm-hmm.
because invariably, like these standards that they set for us are what we compare ourselves to, and the friendships that they have. I mean, I'm sure we've all seen the Sex and the City where their friendships, for example, I mean, I know there's so many other shows with friendships in them, but we all strive for the amount of connection that these people are capable of having at the end
Mm-hmm.
of the day. And I've always been the type of person where I value friendships more than anything in my life because I didn't have the family, I didn't have people who made an effort before then. And so it made it just that much more meaningful for me. So, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I just I feel like I'm conditioned to feel like it's a privilege to be approached on this level of connection. And all of us deserve that. And I mean, yes, it is like absolutely a privilege, but I think that we as queer people don't take it for granted as much as straight people are able to. Is that would that be fair? I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I'm thinking about a group of friends that I once had when I used to live in Idaho, and how we were all straight. I'm saying were because I am not, but
Yeah.
it was a group of straight couples, and we literally, my husband at the time just walked right into this group of people and they accepted us and we were all there. And I remember throughout the years that I was friends with them wondering, how many of these people can I tell that I'm attracted to women? I mean, I'm married to a man. How much can I share of myself? How
Yeah,
much of my doubts can I share? Will they be uncomfortable and think that I'm attracted to them if
exactly.
I start to say these things? And I just couldn't be myself. Whereas all of them were instantly just like, hey, we're friends now. We're all, I mean, I'm sure they weren't actively going, we are all straight. We can all be friends. But it's just like, it's so easy for them to just walk in and, do those things. Okay, well, now I'm remembering there is actually, there was a gay guy in the group. He was like the token gay person, of course, but little
Yeah.
did he know he was not the only one. But I just wonder, had I somehow met these people as a queer person who was out and maybe single or had a female partner, would I have been accepted into that group, or would they have been like, would it have been more of a challenge for me to be able to be friends with them? How would they have treated me differently? I don't know. I mean, I'm in a totally different place now, but that's what I was thinking of when you talked about how they take it for granted because they're just like friendships are just popping up everywhere. Whereas we're like, who am I safe to share this information with? And
Yeah.
will I be treated the same?
Yeah, it's like I would never envy someone who had, I mean, we all watch like these spy movies and whatever, and we think it's like super cool to live like a double life or whatever. But I mean, let it be known that you're always thinking about that when you have straight friends that you're not completely honest with. It's really anxiety inducing to feel like you're living that double life and having no one that understands you because you refuse to allow people to understand you. And that's at least my experience. I hope
Mm,
that you don't have that personally, because they're just wastes of time and energy. These people are taking up your attention, and it's always nice to see that your phone is like going off because there are people interested enough to go out
mm-hmm,
of their way for you. I don't know, that's just not friendship or love. And I mean, we as queer people make these relationships like our family in a way sometimes. I know that we sometimes put a lot of pressure on these people too because we don't have so much of this family access and support
mm-hmm.
that means so much and is so easily given to them. And so I sometimes feel like I'm putting way too much pressure on them sometimes too because sometimes need that, and they're not always ready to hear me out or hear the really problematic things that we sometimes go through. And
Yeah, I find myself putting all of that on my partner. So I have those friends that I was talking about before. I'm not in touch with them anymore because I moved away and I realized, and when I was looking back evaluating those friendships, that they weren't real friendships and they were taking up space in my mind and taking up my energy. And so I let go of those. And then now that I'm out, most of my queer friends are on Instagram, so I don't get to see them in real life. And they're the most supportive people that I've ever had in my life, even though they are far away. You're included, all these people that I'm meeting and developing relationships with. But it's like, we live in a place where we don't have a lot of friends around. So I'm constantly putting all of those family and friend expectations that you're talking about on my partner because we really are each other's family, each other's friend, each other's partner, each other's, raising a kid together. We don't have all those people to lean on. So it does put a lot of pressure on our relationships and our friendships that probably isn't the same for straight people. Correct us if we're wrong, straight people.
yeah, oh my gosh, true. I love that. The thing that I just want to make like absolutely clear is that like I feel at the same time conflicted because of the amount of expectations that and needs that I need to be fulfilled by these straight people, and simultaneously it's just difficult for me to expect that they'll come through for me at the same
Mhm.
time. So it's like, I understand that I'm a lot, but like, is that a lot? Is that too much for straight people? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you know what? Let me ask you this. So I don't know like the ratio of queer people to straight people, queer friends to straight friends in your life, but when you're talking to queer friends, do you feel like you're just like unfiltered, full, sparkly rainbows, all the things, just like, here, a queer friend, this is all of me. And then when you're talking to a straight person that you're like filtering the shit out of everything and constantly being like when I'm talking to a straight friend, I'm not sharing intimate things about I mean, it's very filtered. I'm like, who can I share this amazing story of this thing I experienced with my partner and know that that person's like, okay, cool. And not like, why are you telling me this? You know what I mean? Like, do you feel like you're filtering yourself with your straight friends or not really?
Only, and it's not because it's intentional, but I think that inevitably I don't share like my deepest pain because it is difficult for them to understand. And I don't want them to feel like they can't understand me, because that wouldn't help anyone in the situation. And, it might be on me that I'm the one not disclosing these things that are very much impacting me as the adult I'm becoming and the queer individual that's growing stronger. But sometimes these fights need to be alone when I don't have them, and only with queer people when I need to discuss them. And I think that that's also why I think this podcast means so much to me, because when you speak about things that are so intensely painful and personal and they don't completely understand it, and you kind of feel like you just kind of gutted yourself in front of them, it makes you hesitant to do that again.
I agree. I feel like, just what you're saying, it's the word that came to me, and this is my huge thing in life, is the rejection. And it's like you said, you gutted yourself. You gave everything you had, and they rejected you. Even if they didn't see it that way, or it wasn't actually something that they could reject. It's that feeling of, oh my gosh, they don't understand, and now they're confused, and I'm confused, and
Yeah.
it's almost like we're protecting them from having to feel awkward or uncomfortable because they don't understand. So we're protecting them from
secondhand pain.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I should really just be honest, because I think that they would be capable, but I think that that's another thing where it's really difficult for us to trust people, especially straight people, in that way. And I think that these are just habits that I created like any other. So here's the therapy lesson.
Yeah.
Did you know you were getting into one? I didn't. Oh my God.
Well, my therapist is on maternity leave, so here we go.
This shit's free.
I know. That's what we've been needing.
Yeah, these people listening are just supposed to rate and review. Like, come on.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, but if anyone listening wants to give us their thoughts, I would love to hear them. And I know it means a lot to me and our community, and so we would love to share them live too if you wanted us to. Please keep that in mind.
Tell us, as a queer person, if you're listening, tell us how you feel about sharing the deepest parts of you with queer people versus straight people. And then if you're straight, first of all, thank you for listening.
Yeah.
And tell us how it feels to be on the outside, sort of wanting to understand us and wanting to hold space and kind of feeling like we might not always be able to do that or might not be comfortable to do that. And let us know how that feels.
Please. Yes. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for coming to listen. Thank you guys who came out. You brave motherfuckers. I love you.
Yes, we love you. Thanks for listening.
Okay, I am Sean, your he, him host.
And I'm Lindsay, your she, her host.
Cheers.